all right, we got to do this fast because the sun's going down and I'm losing light. And the hardest part about shooting on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is not looking at that little camera instead of looking at y'all. I did bring my notes so we can get this done. Now listen, we know the end of the year is coming and you're going to be ramped up with all these great plans and these great ideas, new goals, new setups, things that you want to do. But before you do any of this, I implore you to stop and take a personal inventory of where you are right now. This is one of the steps when everybody talks about all these plans and everybody talks about these new systems and these new goals and everything. A lot of people aren't telling you to take that personal inventory first. Today, I asked my class, I go, if someone's coming to your house and they call you up and say you're lost, what's the first question you ask them? Where are you? Because you can't give someone directions on where to go if you don't know where they are currently now. So in order to get to these goals that you're setting for yourself, that resolution, whatever you want to call it, new year, new you, you have to know where you're coming from. So take time and take that personal inventory. Now, I can't give you a system on how to do that because everybody's personal inventory is going to be different. Maybe for you, it's health, it's wealth, it's wellness, mental wellness, it's family, it's that new career, it's losing those pounds. Whatever that case is, you got to come up with what those key indicators are for you. You know, we say in the industry, KPIs, those key market, key performance indicators. Jesus. Anyway, so you want to make sure you have a good idea of where you are so you can know where you're headed. Without that capability, you're going to find yourself lost. Now, I did write some notes here because one of the things I think is super important as you do this is that you come to the realization as to who you want to become. Not what you want to become, but who you want to become. What you want to become is passive, but who you want to become is active. So even as you're building a new business or building a new identity for yourself, losing weight, learning to quit smoking, whatever that case may be, if you identify yourself as a non-smoker, you'll be much better than someone who's trying to quit. Trying to, getting ready to, as you often hear me say in the streams, fitna, none of those things are working. Those more than likely are holding you back more than you think so. So you got to come to grips. Set your phone to don't lock when your notes are on your phone. You got to come to grips of who do you want to be? So I guess an important question to ask in this personal inventory is who do you believe you are? Because I just made a video talking about self-talk. And one of the things that kind of throws people off is if you believe you are a person who's not good on camera, you will work to stay not good on camera. But if you believe that you're a person who is getting better on camera, that small little switch, you will more likely to do that. If you say, I am a creator, this is why I've always said that, got the t-shirt, been talking about this forever. I tell myself to this day, 16 years into the business, I tell myself I am a creator because that becomes, wait for it, a self-fulfilling prophecy. I fulfill myself prophetically by saying I am who I say I am. And if I wasn't, then why would I say I am? You know that, right? If you are who you say you are, a superstar. All right, let me stop with the lyrics. It's important that you realize who you want to become. Also, it's important to realize who you believe you are now. Okay, so it's also important that you remember who you don't want to become. I told the story that I'll save for the Go group, but I knew that when I was growing up as an adult and as a male, somebody I specifically did not want to identify with, and I went out of my way. I kind of overcorrected, but I knew exactly who I didn't want to be. And I think that's also important as knowing who you want to become. Now, here's one that will always mess with you. Hanging on to old self-identifications, especially if those IDs, I'm gonna use IDs a lot. If those identities or identification or IDs that someone else gave you, if someone else gave you the idea of incompetent or loser or procrastinator or lazy or soft-spoken, the number one crusher, shy, someone else probably gave you that ID. Hanging on to those old IDs is not helping you. If you know you want to do this and you know you want to be a creator, you want to grow that business, you want to lose that weight, you want to stop smoking, you want to be more present with your kids, you have to identify as an amazing parent. You have to identify as a non-smoker. You have to identify as a healthy person. Hanging on to your old ID saying, oh, well, I've always been like this, that's not serving you. I think personally, and people who know me know this, I cannot stand that dumb ass saying of you do you. If you've been doing you for over 40 years and you still don't feel fulfilled, then you should stop doing you. You got to do the you who you really wanted to be. More than likely, you became who everybody else wanted you to be. A whole bunch of us did that, present company included. Hence why Doc is just a nickname now, and I didn't finish medical school. I didn't become who they wanted me to become. I became who I wanted to be. That was a huge fight in the family, as it is for most of you who've made those changes. Okay, now, if you keep saying that, holding on to those limiting IDs is no different than holding on to limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs, as you know, are bad, but limiting identities is probably worse. I'm gonna go ahead and say full stop, absolutely 110% worse. Holding on to something that you're not really, or you can't possibly be, is jacking you up. You can't possibly be shy. There's no such thing as shy. That's something parents tell kids when they're little kids, and all those kids are being protective and curious. They say that they're hiding, but they always peek their head out and try to look around the leg of their parents because they're curious. They just want to do it from a safe position. That's just natural. That's just human behavior. That's animal behavior. If you try to feed a stray cat, it will approach you slowly and eventually come up and take the food once they understand that they're safe. We all do the same thing. So yeah, hanging on to that old school stuff is not going to help you. So here's some practicality things that you can do. In order to make sure that you actually achieve the goals that you set for yourself this year, you need to come up with 3 tiny little habits. 3 tiny little habits that would allow you to get that 1% better every day, that will allow you to see progress, that will allow you to stay into it, because whatever you constantly think about becomes better. The reason why I say this all the time, I use it again, the reason why Steph Curry is such a great shooter, he shoots every day. He's a professional ball player. Does he have to go out and shoot 1,000 shots a day? Probably not. But why is he still the best in the game, even though I hate that? Because he goes out still to this day and shoots those balls, right? In order to maintain a level of proficiency as a driver, you have to do laps. In order to maintain a level of proficiency, even as a defense attorney, you have to defend cases. So if you want to be a creator, you have to do things that put you in that absolute mode every day that allow you to self-fulfill that prophecy. So very important, if you are who you say you are, you got to do those things. 3 tiny little habits that you can do every day that will allow you to gain some momentum. And the biggest one, you got to start with that self-talk. I was talking about this on the stream today. You know why Muhammad Ali was the greatest boxer to ever walk the face of the earth? Because he told himself and he told everybody else. And him just believing in it so much, it actually intimidated the opponents. Some people lost just because he said, I'm the greatest. I'm a bad man. Like he told people and they believed it. So imagine if you tell yourself that you're a creator and you become that. Imagine if you tell yourself you're a fantastic public speaker, you become that. You start to do the things, the small little things, unconsciously, subconsciously, that make sure that you bring that fruition into fruition. I'm gonna tell myself that I'm a much better speaker when I'm trying to talk fast before the light goes down. Anyway, this wraps it up. I just want to make sure you put these things in place. Get rid of the old identities, decide who you want to be, decide who you don't want to be, and start with 3 little habits. If you could do 3 little habits for, say, 90 days straight, I'm not going to give you 21 or 60. I need you to put in that work. If you can do those 3 little habits for 90 days straight, I can almost guarantee you with 100% certainty, you will actually reach your goals or come damn close to it. If you like this video or anything like this, make sure you press the subscribe button, hit that bell so you can be notified when I make another piece of video. And right now, the algorithm is going to show you another video that I think you should watch, and I kind of agree with them.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver and